Italian culture is characterized by its liveliness and marked ability to emphasize the meaning of words through gestures, acquired over time to the point of becoming a support tool for verbal language. In the Western tradition, interest in gestures originated in the 17th century, when it was recognized as a characteristic of human expression employed especially in the art of rhetoric, first by the Greeks and later by the Romans. While Aristotle considered gesture as a technique acquired by imitation by public orators to influence the opinions of the crowd, Quintilian, on the other hand, considered it an innate technique worthy of cultivation. During the medieval era, contacts between European populations and the natives of newly discovered lands increased the importance of gesture as a globally shared means of communication. Some philosophers of the 18th century argued that already in primordial times, humans communicated their needs and emotions through gestures before developing a full verbal language. In the 1970s, the discovery of mirror neurons, which are activated both when we perform an action and when we observe the same action performed by others, suggested a link between perception and action in the ventral promotor cortex of macaques, similar to the Broca's area in humans, involved in the production and comprehension of language. This system fostered the development of mimesis, which emerged around 2 million years ago with the species Homo erectus, making gestural expressions progressively more conventional, eventually forming sign-based languages. Nowadays, gestures can be classified into three main categories: deictic gestures, through which we indicate or request an object; representational gestures, which represent the concrete referent by imitation and the abstract one by metaphor; and pragmatic or interactive gestures, which have no real meaning, accompany words almost involuntarily, and serve to emphasize salient points of speech. Before the arrival of television in 1954, the high illiteracy rate and the high population density encouraged the use of dialects and nonverbal communication. Different gestural regionalism were thus created, while standard gestures remain common throughout Italy, varying according to the age and sex of the individual. As the use of gestural language became more widespread, Italy had to deal with stereotypes. Since each culture has its unique characteristics and communication approaches, it is crucial to understand how gestures are interpreted. Italians mainly communicate using their body, arms, and posture, which can lead to misunderstandings and challenges in cross-cultural communication. For instance, tapping the knuckles of the fist on an hard surface is used instead of clapping in Germany and Austria, while in Italy means stupidity or obstinacy. Crossed fingers means protection or wish in Italy, but signify friendship breakup in Greece and Turkey. And the flick on the earlobe, which indicate goodness in Portugal and Brazil, means also be careful in Morocco and homosexuality in Italy. It is important to mention also the stereotypical idea of gesticulating in the modern social media era, where the most famous Italian gesture, the purse hand, is depicted in various ways and situations. Gestures play an important role in second language teaching and are identified as an essential part of the development of learners' pragmatic skills. Culture is not biologically inherited, but it is acquired through a process called acculturation. Acculturation depends on several factors, such as the personality and history of the individuals, their connection to the culture of their home country, and how the receiving society integrates foreigners. So it is important that the teacher support the student through this laborious process rather than imposing customs. For this reason, the first step to avoid misunderstandings is to teach how to recognize and understand local gestures, considering both the culture the students are learning and their own, with its challenges and problems. In conclusion, the interpretation of Italian kinesics requires sensitivity to culture, context, and the complexity of body movements. It is therefore important to relate to other cultures without prejudice, adopting a positive attitude and remembering that culture is a dynamic concept, subject to continuous evolution. So do we.